Alright, so this next part, no matter how many times I do it, I'm always low-key very nervous about it. So, drilling into the control cavity. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go like this. And that went very well. Now, the next part is going to be a bit trickier because my drill bit isn't exactly long enough for the job. Because of where my neck is placed and where my scale length lands, which is right around there, due to my mess up at the workshop where the neck ended up being too far back. Now I need to be careful not to go over this line when doing the ground wire. Now I could do the ground wire into the cavity well, but I have a feeling that that might not reach. So I'm gonna try to get it into the pickup cavity. Just made it through. Got a little bit of rash there, but that's no matter because I haven't sanded this one yet. Next up is placement of the volume. Now I'm gonna have it somewhere about here. Would be nice. Yeah, I'll have it there. That's pretty good. This part's fairly easy because I only have a volume and an output. So that's where the volume is going to be placed, like so. Man, that is a hideous knob, but you know, it is what it is. Now for the jack, I'm going to have it here. Need to lift up the camera, I think. So, roughly there. And I'm going to use my protractor to find the middle. And a brattle to mark it out. Or an awl. Awl is what I meant to say. 21. Yep. There we are. I was pretty close with my mark. Right around there. Well, not right around there. Exactly there. And you might have been wondering why I was holding my finger so close. It was because I was using basically my finger to guide the drill bit. Or guiding the drill bit toward my finger and then moving it out of the way. So I actually have, you know, a reference point. As long as you remember to move your finger out of the way, you should be just fine. Then, using a spade bit. Is this called a spade bit? I can't remember. Now this is where work holding becomes extremely important. Now, usually I would clamp this onto a bench vise. I don't have that, so I think I'm just going to clamp it down like this. Just so I don't mess up. Need to move the camera again. Making sure that I'm drilling straight. Now, I've never liked these bits before, and I still don't like them. You get a set of good ones and you'll be fine, but I'd much rather do that part with a step drill. But I don't have a step drill, so this is definitely a way of doing it. Alrighty, that's my control holes done. I'm just gonna check that it is indeed good, and it is good. Alright, moving onwards. Alright, next up we're gonna do the headstock tuner holes. So I already measured out the first part. Now, seeing as this isn't exactly a straight line, I can't just mark out and connect the two. So instead, I'm going to use my finger as a guide Let's see how close I got. Yep, that's pretty much close. All right, then, so like that, so that will be 30. All right, we'll do 30. 30 mil apart. Fairly easy. Just put that on 30, and then that at 0, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, see, that's not good. So that's not gonna fit. One there, one there. They are fairly widely apart. I'll do 25 mil. That's seems a bit more appropriate. So the first one's there. Mark these out as well. Yeah, that'll be just fine. All right. Then with a brad point. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the initial pilot holes with a brad point drill bit all the way through. There we are. And then I'm gonna do the flip side halfway through and halfway through. Now I'm probably gonna do 8 mil and then widen that to 10 just to make it a little easier on myself. So first things first, going halfway. Now, it doesn't look all that great, I'll admit. I don't think that these drill bits are all that great. So, I'm gonna go backwards to start off the holes. Hopefully. That'll make my life a little easier, and I'm gonna go a bit slower. Not as graceful as I would have hoped, if I'm honest. Alright, well, that got the job done. Now I just need to clean it up some. That is a big bummer, which really sucks. But yeah, I'll deal with it later on. See what I can do. Now, I know that I already sanded this to 240, but I kind of forgot that I wanted to have a little belly carb in here, so I'm just going to get to doing that real quick. I already drew a somewhat design of what I want, and I actually want to take it down to about there. So I drew this line on the side to kind of give me a rough place to go to. I might actually use the spoke shave to take off the majority. Might be a bit faster. Okay, cross grain or against the grain, so that's not a good idea. And yeah, this is just because I figured that it would look a little dull if it was just a flat back. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I think while this does make it more comfortable, I do think it makes it also a little bit more interesting. The thing is, along with doing this challenge in general, it gives me a good platform to kind of try out ideas and kind of prototype ideas. Whereas with the slight angle on the headstock, see how that works out if I want to do that in actual production models, or these carves, whether I want to have these on the data list models or not. So basically using pine as what luthiers usually use pine for, which is prototyping. I wonder if I'll have better luck with this smaller one, which has a curve on the bottom. Yeah, this was the way to go. So this spoke shave actually has a curve that way around. I modified a spoke shave for this purpose when I built a Windsor chair, and I had to do the saddle type of chair part for it, and that demanded a curve on the spoke shave. And this is one of my favorite, or out of the two spoke shaves that I have, I gotta admit that this is probably my preferred one of the two. Really gets into those curves quite well. All right. I think that is pretty damn good. And then it's only sanding left to go before we start gluing in the neck. All right, now because of the neck sitting a bit further back than I wanted it to, I want to have good access to the higher frets. So I'm going to do a little cutaway here so I can actually, or a little scoop, I should say, just to kind of better get in there. So again, just using rasps. Actually take the table down. Smidge. Proving a little difficult. Now the best way, easiest way, would be to use some chisels, but the ones that I have at my disposal aren't exactly sharp. So before I get those sharpened, this will have to do. I think a little more, and then we are there. Okay? And then we're just going to sand that to get the final finish that we want. End grain is always somewhat tricky, but I think that's pretty good. Let's have a feel for how it works. Yeah, I think that's a hell of a lot better. Yeah. All right, moving onwards. Okay, so next up, we're gonna do something very fun and only slightly terrifying. I've been looking forward to this part. We are actually going to burn everything. Everything except for the fretboard, I must say. And the reason why I'm doing that is to kind of stabilize, sort of torrefy the wood, as it were. That should make it a little bit harder and should get rid of all the resins and all kinds of other stuff in there. Hopefully it will make the neck a little bit more stable as well. I was gonna do this after gluing in the neck, but then I decided that it's probably best to do them separately so I get everything, all the neck pocket and everything done the way I want so that I don't miss any spots. Then I'm gonna come back and we're gonna sand everything, and it should be all well and good. I'm not gonna do the fretboard or the fretboard edges. Then I am going to burn up some extra pine just because I haven't done the fretboard side dots, and brass didn't really cut it, and then using wood like wenge would have been fun, but all the woods that I'm using are pine. So yes, I don't need to do it, but I'm going overboard and I am using pine that has been burnt, and then I'm gonna basically sand off the charcoal, I guess, and use that as the material for my side dots. So I'm gonna drill holes, super glue, and charcoal, I guess, and hopefully it'll work out. Let's have a look. All right, so next up, we're gonna do the side dots. Now, to do that, first things first, I'm gonna need myself a pencil. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, basically, what I want, a bit difficult seeing as there's the side of the fretboard has burned just a little bit. 3, 5, 7, 9. Yeah, there we go. Now I'm gonna go, this is a 7mm fretboard. I'm gonna get the midway point between, because of the burn marks, I'm actually gonna put them a little bit off center. So I'm gonna have them, instead of being 3.5mm, I'm just gonna go 3mm from the top of the fretboard. So at least they'll be even from the edge of the fretboard. So basically what I need to do is just connect the middle between 2 frets and then 3mm from the top. And that gives me the positions for my side inlays. Now I'm gonna mark all these out and then I'm gonna come back when it's time to drill them out. All right, next up, just drilling up the holes. Don't need them to be too deep. There we are. Now, for a good while, I thought about what I wanted to do for inlays. A dark wood would have been very nice on the light fretboard, but I was only going to use pine when it comes to wood on this guitar. So I have some really really burnt up some pine, and I am going to use that as my inlay material. So I'm going to sand this down or get some of this off and use that as my inlay material. Just going to look for a piece of paper here that will serve the purpose. Well, I'm going to use my checklist. Seems appropriate. Now, I'm not actually going to sand any of this stuff because I feel like that will give me some sandpaper grit. So instead, just going to scrape some of this charcoal off. Now I'm going to combine this with some super glue, and that will provide a sort of dust and glue compound sort of thing. It's very normal to actually use ebony dust for inlay kind of stuff combined with super glue, so this isn't far off. We'll see how far that gets us. Kind of big particles there, but we'll work with what we got. Let's clean these up a little bit. And this is why I didn't need to drill the biggest holes for this, because it is just dust and super glue. The bad thing is, because it's pine, there's a little bit of tear out on the hole, so we'll see how this looks. Let's try first super glue. Okay, I'm gonna do the rest, and then we'll come back after I've sanded it down and we'll see how it looks. All right, so the side dots turned out pretty good. I'm gonna sand this whole thing down still, so they're gonna come out looking even better in a minute. But now I have the next task of gluing in the neck. Now, preparation is key. So I have two clamping cauls, the template on the top, on the bottom here, to support the back, to have something to clamp onto, and then the actual neck template on the top here. I also have two blocks of wood here because I need to have the neck a little bit pushed in, because right now the neck wobbles just ever so slightly due to that little gap right there. So I'm going to first put the clamp here, then I'm going to clamp it down that way around. Now, to make sure this is indeed the right length. And yeah, nothing I haven't done before, so let's get to it. It's a fairly straightforward process, but something that you have to do correctly, because once the neck is glued in, you can't exactly go about ungluing it. Now, I already forgot one very important step, which is to eliminate splooge. So, some masking tape along each side of the neck pocket, so that when there is splooge, I don't have to worry about excess glue all over the place. I can just wipe down, or I can just remove the tape instead of having to do any extra work. This is also a very nifty trick if you already have your body finished, that is stained and everything else, or first layer of oil on also helps, because the glue will not stick to oil. So that's also a very good point to do this already at this stage. Now, continuing onwards with putting in glue. I have a little glue spreader here. Make sure to get an even amount of glue all over the place. Not too much, but definitely not too little either, because too little glue can be problematic. Also, too much glue can be problematic. So when you're spreading the glue, you will notice if you've put on way too much. To kind of clarify, having too much glue
might make your actual joint a bit loose fitting because of all that glue in between. And you'll definitely have more cleanup to do because there's so much glue splurging out of the pocket. So everything in moderation. I got glue all over my hands. That's not good. Now there's not quite a lot of time, so you do need to be quick and efficient about this. First things first, I'm gonna have just one of these holding the neck in place ever so slightly so it doesn't fall off while I'm doing this. Yep, I've just put it in the wrong place there. All right, never mind. If at all possible, always avoid declamping. In this case, I just don't have enough hands. By the looks of it, everything went on pretty spot on. Yeah, looks good.